Taking a peek at the media screen for the vehicle. So this is going to be the larger screen, larger setup, and specifically going to be available in some of the higher trim levels of the vehicle. But the overall functionality is going to be basically the same across the entire vehicle lineup. Now, first things first, we do also have a few options. So this might be the home screen you're met with. You might be in one of the other screens here. You might also have another option show up there. So it's just going to depend, but starting off along the very top, like you might have this screen come up initially, but we do have our user profiles. So we do have the flexibility of adjusting and creating users as well. One of the benefits there is that it's going to remember things like our preset saved phones and things like that. So if you've got multiple people using the vehicle, definitely recommend setting yourself up with an individual profile. And all we have to do is just hit change user. We've got driver 1, driver 2, etc. But it'll literally change through everybody, or we can just do a generic guest, confirm, and go from there. Pushing this button along the very top as well gives us a few more options, which this is going to be our base calming screen. So if we just swipe across, it's going to bring us to our other options along with that tray we saw along the very top. So first one to point out, this is going to be our basic home button. So it'll always bring us back to this main screen instead. This next one, hamburger icon, gives us the flexibility to turn the display off, or we can just button press to bring it back to life again. We can also edit the home icons out as well. So if we want to kind of adjust, we can just do a press and hold there in order to be able to adjust this thing out as necessary. So we can rearrange however we'd like to, which is kind of nice. So if you want certain things off the screen, on the screen, etc., you've got the flexibility to be able to do it. We can reset it back to the factory defaults there instead. So if you've played around with it a little bit too much, just bring it back to defaults instead. And then we've also got our QR code in order to get our user manual. So all we have to do on our phone, we just go to our camera, and then we can just open up in order to get into our owner's manual, which is fantastic. Like, we still do have our printed book, but we can also do a hot access press in order to be able to find certain things on our phone there as well. And back again brings us back to this main screen. We've got our clock along the very top. We've got our date and time, which if we press the clock, you can see there, it launches us into our date and time as well. So let's kind of go line by line and you can figure out everything you need to know about this thing. Starting off, we've got our map along the very top. So we do have factory navigation if we want to. We can also use Google Maps or Apple Maps, which I'll get to in just a moment. But we've got our main factory view there for our navigation. We can push, there's a little arrow on the right side of the screen. We can push that in order to be able to go full screen instead, and then just button press there in order to bring it up and down again. We can also do a swipe up and down in order to get to certain things. So we've got our compass, time, we've got another mini map, which is kind of neat. We can go between our different presets, etc. So there are quite a few different options that are available there. We can press our menu along the very side in order to show our nearby point of interest icons for different displays or categories. We can save our position. We can look at our traffic. We can display live traffic as well, so we can see we're green along the board there. We can turn the display off again. Button press to bring it to life, and then when we do, we've got this. So we can press this in order to show or hide the menu, and we've got our main menu here. So we can either increase, decrease there to zoom in, out. We can also do a pinch to zoom there, and as you can see, this whole thing, fairly responsive. When we drag this, we're essentially creating a new route. So we could easily adjust there. We can set as a destination, etc. We can push this to recenter it back to ourselves. We can have it automatically adjust as we get closer to the destination. And we can also adjust all of our different navigation volumes. So if you don't want to get any sort of
guidance will be at this volume.
If you don't want any sort of guidance volumes, you've got the flexibility of turning it off. And then as we come up to different turns, we can also have this thing turn on or off as necessary there as well. Navigation volume priority. So if we're coming up to an upcoming turn, it's going to lower all of the different volumes there. It's going to lower all the different volumes in order for us to hear the prompts easier. So you've got some options there. And we've got our different views. I love it. So base view, flat view, it's kind of neat. Then we can just button press in order to get back home again. Jumping into our map brings us back here. We can search this way. So we've got a few different options. We can search by point of interest icons. We can type in addresses or GPS coordinates instead. So if we just start randomly typing, there we go. So we can go to different addresses. This is, let's see if it's got Old Faithful there. BMW Kingston. Search. All right, there we go, perfect. So we've got a few different options that are showing up there. We can just kind of select as necessary there. Ooh, there we go. We can set it as a destination. We can also get rid of this if we want to, but let's just go set as destination. And as you can see, we've got the main route, and we've got some alternate route options that are available as well. So it's going to be a matter of personal preference what you want. We can start the guidance. If you want to add in a waypoint, so let's say if you wanted to, on the way to your destination, stop at a gas station, Starbucks, whatever the case may be, we can add in a waypoint there. And we can also avoid certain things on our route. So if we want to avoid freeways, toll roads, things like that, we can adjust. We just hit recalculate as necessary, and it's going to adjust as necessary there as well. So it is kind of neat. We've got that option. And then just hit starting guidance.
Highlighted route. Then the route guidance will start.
Why, thank you. So we can see, as you can see there, we've got 26 kilometers to get to our route, our time of arrival. We can button press there in order to jump into different times. So our alternate versus remaining time to get there. We can reroute if we need to, or we can just close out. Button press there to get back to the main menu, or we can cancel the route here. 3, 2, 1, route is now canceled. And if we hit search again, we can see that address that we've searched for previously. We can button press that in order to be able to save that or to start the guidance there as well. So really, really straightforward using factory navigation inside of this thing. Moving back home, we've got our navigation menu. So we've got different places. We've got point of interest icons. So if you want to go to pharmacies, banks, ATMs, etc., we can look at all of our previous destinations. If you frequently go places, we can also hit delete in order to be able to remove it from the vehicle as well. And there it goes. We can also look at Kia dealerships. If we've got an active route going, we can cancel the route, look at the overview, and adjust some route options, which we saw on the previous screen. We can also set up a series of different favorites along the very bottom, so frequently traveled destinations. One of the benefits of doing that is that if we press the voice command prompt on the steering wheel, we could then say navigate home, navigate to work, whatever the case may be, and whatever addresses we have saved, it'll automatically navigate us to that instead. So it is pretty nice that we've got that option. Next up is going to be adding in a phone. Equally as straightforward in order to add in a phone, and we're going to start off on the iPhone side of things first. So we're just going to hit phone there.
Bluetooth on from your device in order to search.
And we're just looking for Kia.
Select.
Pins, we want to make sure they match up, which they do. Perfect. Do we want to allow our contacts and favorites to sync up? Yes or no? I'm going to hit don't allow for this one. But as you can see, I'm fully connected. So we've got my contacts. If I had said yes there, we've also got, yeah. So the reason why it said that, is because I selected no when I was connecting my phone to the vehicle. Obviously, if you hit yes, it would show up there. But we've got my phone there, so we can enter in a phone number. Along the very bottom tray, we've got my phone. We've also got what's currently going on with my radio status and my battery life there as well. We can access messages, access our contacts if we had said yes. We can turn on our microphone. We can also do a press and hold on our steering wheel there as well if we wanted to activate Siri. So we could also speak, exit, etc., which is kind of nice. If we've got multiple devices connected, we could also do a phone swap there, which, as you can see, as of right now, strictly the one phone that's connected. But I'm going to set up an Android in a moment and show you how that process works. But it's really that simple setting up a phone. If we go back home, we can just go back into our phone there very simply. So it takes a few seconds in order to be able to do it. But it's really that simple setting up a phone. And next up, we've got the option of setting up Apple CarPlay. So we are going to be a wired connection, and just on our center stack, we're going to plug into USB. Opposite end of the cable, we're just going to plug ourselves in. And watch how quick this is. Reading USB. Do we want to allow CarPlay with the Kia while the phone is locked? Yes, we want to allow that. We're just going to hit next. Oh, I'm like, wait, hey. Did not think it was just going to randomly start playing there. But we can jump into Apple CarPlay now and stretched across this beautiful screen. Like, look at this. We've got our main screen there, as you heard earlier, just listening to a podcast there. But on the main screen, we've got whatever map application was open last on the phone. So we've got Google Maps. We can push the button here to get back to this main screen or just swipe across. But we've got Apple Maps, we've got Google Maps, and we've got Waze, and all of them are used directly through this middle screen. So we can easily search for addresses there if we want to. We can star out. We've also got our speaker there as well. Button press to get back to the main screen. Google Maps, same idea. We can search for destinations. We can look at our different route options and things like that. And it's the same way. So it is kind of nice. It's nice and responsive. No pinch to zoom available there as an option, unfortunately, but we can manually zoom in and out this way if we want. Button press to get back home. We've got our Google Maps. We've got podcasts, as you saw earlier. We've got our browse, library, and a few other things. Now, we've also got our now playing and our music. We've got audiobooks, like so many different options that are available. And one of the cool things is that through our phone, we can go general settings, CarPlay, we can select our vehicle, we can forget the car, we can allow CarPlay while the phone is locked, and we can customize the tray. So let's say if you're a big fan of listening to podcasts and your audiobooks, we can adjust that very simply there as well. We can also delete things, and when they're deleted, they're completely removed off of this tray, but they are still available. So we just hit plus there, and it just adds it back in as well. If you've messed up too much, you could hit the reset along the very top, and that's going to reset us back to our factory default screen there instead. So as you can see, 3, 2, 1, and we are reset again. So it just brings us back to that main screen. We can press Kia to get back to the main screen there as well. And we've got a few other options, because if we go setup, we can go device connections. We've got our Bluetooth, our device connections there, which we can see the phones that have been connected. We can add or delete devices. We've got our Bluetooth prompts. Phone projection is going to be for different things. So because we're connected to CarPlay, we can't adjust this. But if we unplug for a second, and we go to our phone projection, we can enable Android Auto, Apple CarPlay. We can use split screen as well if we want to. So the split screen is an interesting one, and I'll show you why. So if we reconnect for a second, okay, so as you can see there, back home, and it's going to read USB there, and we can't do anything until it connects. 3, 2, and we're connected. So we go back home, jump back into CarPlay, and now all of a sudden we're split screen again. So we can push this in order to be able to swipe through a different media there as well. So we've got our compass, we've got our time, map, and a few other things as well, which is fantastic. So we do have quite a few different options that are available there, which is great. We can push media as well in order to get to our FM, SiriusXM, Sounds of Nature, etc. So if we hit SiriusXM, it launches us into SiriusXM there, unfortunately. So if we press home for a second, we go to Apple CarPlay. Now all of a sudden, we're listening to SiriusXM, AM, FM, etc., while we're also connected to our Apple CarPlay. So it is pretty straightforward being able to set it up, and as you can see there, we can pretty much listen to whatever we want to there. So we can move to SiriusXM, AM, FM, etc. Really straightforward to be able to do it. But that's how we set up Apple CarPlay inside of this thing. We could just push this Kia button to go back home again. We go back into our phone, CarPlay, etc., and we can swipe across as necessary there. If we go back into our setup, device connections there. We've got the main phone there, which we can delete the device simply, while we're not connected to Apple CarPlay. So we delete, and all of a sudden, we've got the option now of reconnecting. So you can see there, it's trying to reconnect for the audio, or for the phone, I should say. Reconnecting now for the audio there. So we can connect one or the other if we want to. So if we don't want our phone connected for phone calls, we can turn that off if we want to, and we're strictly listening to music. So we've got so many options, but it's that simple. Set up an iPhone device inside of this vehicle. Next up, setting up an Android device is really straightforward, and it doesn't matter if you've got a Samsung or whatever the case may be, Samsung, LG, etc. So from the main screen there, like if you're not on this screen to add in a new phone, let's say if you're on the home screen there instead, so we could just go to our phone or phone projection. So, of course, because we're not connected to a phone there through Android or Apple CarPlay. So we go to our phone there. We've got our phone. We can add in, go to settings, etc. So we're just going to go add phone.
From your device in order to search. On your device, select the name that matches vehicle name on the screen.
And we're just waiting for Kia to show up there. There we go. Numbers match up. Perfect, and we are fully connected. So we jump back into our phone for a second there, and we're now connected to the Samsung instead. It's now asking me, do I want to allow access to my contacts, messages, etc. And obviously it's saying that it can't do it because I didn't give it permission to do it. But if you did, it would download your contacts automatically. But we've got my dial pad there, we've got phone, etc. Stretch this out to a full screen instead. Yeah, I know, I turned it off, that's why. But same thing, we've got the phone name, we've got our current status for our radio, and then we've also got our current battery life there as well. So quite a few options that are available. Now if we go home for a second, we go to our setup, we go to device connections, and we've got a series of options, which I didn't show you when I was connected to the iPhone, so we'll do that now. But we can also do a drag and drop in order to give a phone connection priority. So if we have both phones in the vehicle, whose phone is it going to connect to first? And the reason why we're getting those messages is because I'm saying no to everything there, but those messages wouldn't show up if you selected yes on your phone. But as you can see, we can turn off the phone or the audio for either device if we want to. Jumping back, we've got our Bluetooth voice prompts, so we can play or mute the different prompts. We can enter privacy mode for the phone, And we've got our Bluetooth system info. So we can change the vehicle name, or we can change the pass key as well if we want to. So a few options available. And then our phone projection settings, which we saw earlier. So we've got Android Auto, Apple CarPlay. This one, I'm going to actually leave it on split screen. I want to show you something as we go. But as you can see there, so setting up an Android device is straightforward. And then very similar to the Apple side of things, we can set up Android Auto just through a USB connection there. So we're going to swap out our USB cable for Android. We're just going to plug ourselves in. So I'm charging up there. And welcome to Android Auto. So we just have to unlock the phone. There we go. Recognize my fingerprint. Perfect. Android Auto would like to, so we just have to hit next there. Okay. And 3, 2, 1, we're connected. Now, if you noticed earlier, what I had done was I didn't select split screen, but we're still on split screen right now. So this is still an Android bug that just hasn't been worked out yet. So we don't have the option for full screen Android Auto as of right now. I'm like fingers crossed, hoping that comes soon. There was somebody that commented saying it should be like September, October that we should get that release. So I'm like, fingers crossed it's available as an option soon, but we're just knowing going in that we are going to be strictly split screen here instead. But we've got the option of searching, very similar to what we saw on the iPhone side. So we've got different options for settings and things like that. Along the very bottom, we can also jump into the podcast if we want to. We've got our music, our notification, and our Google Assistant. So we can activate our Google Assistant there, very similar to the iPhone side of things. We can press and hold the voice command prompt on the steering wheel to activate the Assistant that way instead. We button press this little guy along the very bottom to jump back to the main Android Auto screen here instead. So we've got quite a few different options available. We've got Google Maps and, Waze. That's new. Oh, so cool. All right, so we actually have to disconnect and log into Waze, but we can actually use Waze now through the screen. That is really cool. Did not know that's an option. Good job, Android Auto. So we've got compatibility for either Google Maps or Waze inside of this thing now as well, which is fantastic. And not every app will be available through the screen. It's just going to depend on certain apps. So we will have a full list down in the description of the vehicle. But so many different options available inside of this thing. And it's obviously like straightforward as you saw there in order to be able to use this thing. Like so many different options that are available here. We've got our music that's showing up. We've got our library, so different options there. We can jump back home. We've got podcasts, we've got music, like we've got so many things that are available inside of this thing, which is fantastic. And then very similar to the iPhone side of things, we also have the flexibility of setting up certain things on the Android side. So specifically looking at our settings. So all we're gonna do is search for Android Auto. We're just gonna connect through. We can look at our previously connected cars. We can customize the launcher. Very similar to what we saw on the iPhone side of things, but the difference is it's not dynamic. So if we do a press and hold to drag, we actually have to shut down Android Auto, reconnect on both the phone and the vehicle for any changes that take into effect. But we've at least got the option to customize the launcher if we want to. We can move back. We've got our Hey Google detection. We've got our Start Android Auto while the phone is locked and a few other things. One thing, this thing is showing wireless Android Auto, which is not compatible with the screen. So we are, as you can see there, a fully wired connection inside of this vehicle, unfortunately. But it is nice that we still have that option. And I do love that we've got either Waze or Google Maps. It is so cool. So quite a few different options that are available. If we jump back into our home screen there, as you can see, it brings us back to this main screen. We can go setup, device connections. We won't be able to do anything with our phone projection because we've got to disconnect first. And when we do, projection settings. So as you can see there, split screen, yes, no. I didn't have it enabled, but it just wasn't giving me that option. But we can enable Android Auto, Apple CarPlay through this screen if we want to. We go into our device connections. We can adjust there if we want to. So as I showed you, we can do a drag and drop for who gets connection priority. We can delete devices. So select the devices we want to. We just hit delete. Yes. 3, 2, 1, and the phone is disconnected from the vehicle. And it's that simple, setting up Android and iPhone devices inside of this thing. All right, next up, jumping back home. So we've already seen the phone and phone projection. We do have the flexibility of adding in voice memos to this thing, which is great. So if you want to do a quick note on the fly, we've got the flexibility to do it. We do have some climate control settings here. So we've got some nice ones through the screen, and we can see along the very bottom there. We do also have, oh, look at this. I'll get to that one in a second, but we've got some climate control settings along the very bottom as well. We do have dual zone climate control inside of this thing, so we can adjust as necessary. We can adjust our fan speed there, so button press in order to be able to adjust, just kind of neat. I love the basic highlights. The display inside of this looks great. We've also got, oh, that's really cool. Do we want to go into our windshield face feet, some sort of combination? That looks really cool. Good job, Kia, on this one. We can turn our AC on off, and then we can sync up. So let's say if it's different on the driver's side as the passenger, we hit sync, and it's going to bring the passenger to whatever the driver's side is. We can activate our washer, so when we use our fluid there, we can recirculate the air automatically have the vehicle dehumidify, defog, and then auto defog, defrost, etc. So great options. I just recommend keeping all of these things connected. The vehicle is very smart from that perspective. Moving back, we've got our valet mode, which we do actually have to activate Kia Connect on our phone in order to be able to do that. So I can't show you that one, but it would essentially be able to lock out the screen so that valets can't just kind of look through everything. We've got our quiet mode there as well. So I love it. So we can enter quiet mode, and that's automatically going to decrease all of the volume. So if you've got sleeping kids, we can enter quiet mode there instead. We've got our HD radio, so we've got our traffic, Doppler radio, and then our fuel prices available as well. Speaking of radio, we do have, look at this old school tuning rocker, which is kind of neat. So our old tubes there. It's interesting. It would be kind of neat if we could adjust this thing a little bit, give it a slightly different look, but we can easily adjust. So we've got AM, FM, SiriusXM, etc. We can star if we want to be able to save it out as an available preset. But as you can see, it's a mix of AM, FM, SiriusXM, all available on the bottom there. We could push this way if we wanted to tune instead. We can also press some buttons on the steering wheel, so we can tune on the steering wheel, pushing up and down as necessary there. And we can also just do a single button press on the steering wheel to move between all of our active presets as well, which is kind of neat. But let's go into this, and we're going to do a quick little audio test. Oh, of course, there's no songs going right now. Okay, so one of the cool things, so we do have a few different ways to tune. I'll at least show you that one. So I did show you this way here. We can also tune using the rocker on the bottom right-hand side of the screen there. So as we tune, we've got that flexibility. Okay. Amazing song, but incredible sound inside of this thing, and that's because of the upgraded Harman Kardon sound system inside of this thing. It is phenomenal. And as you heard there, we are low volume, and it's almost car shaking. It just sounds incredible. But we've got the HD radio. We can save out different stations as you saw there, or we can go to station list. So if you're new to an area and you're not sure what music you can listen to, we go to our station list, and as you can see, every available station for the area that you're in. And as you can see there, it's just FM. So if we go to AM instead, we can do the same thing. So it's searching all of our available AM stations instead. Takes a teeny little bit longer on the AM side, but as you can see, same idea. And then we can star these things along the side if we want to save it as a preset as well. As we move into SiriusXM, we've got a few other options available. So we can change out this way if we want to. We can adjust our different SiriusXM stations this way as well. Then we can adjust our, what's happening, Carols? We can swap out in order to adjust our volume there as well. So quite a few options available. We can push this little guy in order to be able to enter into a channel directly that way instead. And then saw earlier, we can save as a favorite, or we can look at all of our available channels there. Save out, we can prioritize certain presets there as well if we want to. But so many good options that are available inside of this thing, which is fantastic. So nice. We can press home as well to go back to the screen here. We've got our media next up. And media, so we saw this earlier, so we've got a few options. So because my phone is connected over Bluetooth right now, as you can see, we're connected through our Bluetooth, and that's on the iPhone side of things. So we're listening to podcasts over Bluetooth. A few things about this. So we can listen to certain things over Bluetooth. YouTube music can be done over Bluetooth, but YouTube video cannot be displayed through Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, or over Bluetooth, unfortunately. So no flexibility there. We can swap out devices. We can look at all our different device lists there as well. So our list there, our library, etc. So we can see my personal music on the phone and a few other things. So it is kind of nice that we've got that as an available option. Moving back in. So if we actually go to the media screen there, we can also select, we can press the media button down the middle screen there in order to jump into either AM, FM, SiriusXM. We've got our sounds of nature as well, which this is kind of neat. That's kind of neat, right? So we've got calming waves instead. This is kind of cool. So if you prefer these ambient sounds and noises instead, we do have the flexibility to turn these things on or off, very simply as you saw, just by selecting as necessary there. And next up, okay, so cool. So we've got a few other options. So what I'm going to do before we jump into our setup, I'm going to finish off on the screens here. Kia Connect, we do actually have to, so as you can see there, a few options available, but we do need to have the Kia Connect app, so we need to activate it on the vehicle as well, but it gives us a few options available. We can see any notifications that are available, so if you have an updated service that's available for the vehicle, any recalls, etc. And then we can just do a QR code scan in order to get into our owner's manual as well. But moving into our setup screen, so many different options that are available here. So starting off, we've got some vehicle settings, and there are quite a few different settings available here, but I'll go through some of the basics. We've got some options for driving convenience. So for highway drive assist, it's essentially going to help keep the vehicle perfectly centered as we drive. We can select driver assistance for a speed limit as well too, so we can get a warning. It can automatically adjust the speed as well for us if we're going a bit too fast. We can turn this whole thing off as well. And a few other things. We've got some basic assistant settings there as well. So we can have a standard versus late for our timing. We can also adjust the warning volume as well. Driver attention warning. So if we start to veer over too many times without signaling, it'll eventually tell us we should probably take a break, but we can toggle the systems off. We've got our forward safety system. So if the vehicle senses a potential collision, will nothing happen? Will it give us a warning, or will it actively brake for us? Lane safety, same idea. If we start to veer over into a lane without signaling, steering wheel is going to give us a gentle nudge back into our lane. It'll warn us, or nothing will happen instead. We've got our blind spot safety there as well with a few options. So we've got our blind spot view monitor. So if we push the left or right turn signal on the steering wheel, it's going to give us the flexibility of seeing what's going on in our blind spot. Like, it is really cool to have that as an available option. We've got our active assist there as well. If there's a potential obstacle in our blind spot, we can get a warning, or we can turn the whole safety system off as well. And then same idea with our reverse safety settings. So as we go to back up, if there's a potential vehicle coming either from the left or the right side, it's going to give us that flexibility as well. But one thing I got to point out here, like, look at this. So we've got our backup camera there, but we've got a full 360 monitor along the side. But watch this. So we've got our backup view, or, oh, look at this. I love the way that this looks. And then, like, as we move, this is so cool. Kia did a phenomenal job looking at this system. And then, like, as we drive slow, it's going to keep that on as well, throwing ourselves back into park. So it is so cool that we've got that system available there. But rear cross traffic alert. So if somebody's coming perpendicular and it recognizes a collision, it's going to let us know, a potential collision, it's going to let us know. And then it can also actively brake for us if it senses an obstacle behind us. So it is so cool. We've got so many good driver assistance settings. And we saw all of these different settings as we go. Active sound design, we can literally adjust the sound of the engine, the way that it sounds. So it is so neat that we've got that as an available option there. Cluster, we've got a few different options. We can change out the view of the cluster screen there. So we've got a few different themes that are available. We can look at our service intervals. We can do a content selection for welcome sounds. So as we turn the vehicle on, off, etc. We've got some different options for our climate settings, so recirculate air, auto defrog, defrost, etc., which we saw when we looked at our regular climate control settings there. Different options for the seat. So easy seat access means that, there we go, so seat position alert change. There we go, this is the one I'm looking for. So extended, normal, or off. So what that means is that as you go to enter or exit the vehicle, it's essentially going to back the seat up, so lower down and back it up, in order for you to be able to get in and out of the seat a little bit easier. You can turn the whole system off if you want to, but you've got a few different options. Now, if yours didn't have power seats, this option just wouldn't be there. That just wouldn't be available there. And then our rear warmer. So we do have the flexibility of turning that heated seat on for the second row as well from the inside here. We can turn the thing off as well if we'd like to. And options for our lights. So one of the cool things is that, so you heard there, so we can have it for 3 flashes, we can do 5, 7, or we can just have a single flash instead. Our headlight delay. So when we go to lock the vehicle, do the exterior lights stay on? And then our high beam assist. So if the vehicle recognizes somebody's oncoming, it's going to automatically dim our high beams, and then it's going to turn them back on again as they pass. Different options for our door. So when we go to when we go to drive away, when we shift into park, it's going to lock the doors. When we go to park the vehicle after we've driven, it's going to automatically unlock, yes or no. And you can adjust this setting out as well. So when the vehicle turns off, that's when the doors open. So it's really going to be a matter of your personal preference. On the key fob, do we want all doors unlocked when we press twice? We can turn the whole powered liftgate on or off from the inside. We can also have it open up at different speeds, so a normal or a faster speed. We also have a few options that are available here. So this is kind of neat because if we want to select different heights, we can have it fully open, we can go to 3 different levels, or we can have a user customizable level as well. So you can select how far or how open this thing goes. So if you want to adjust the height, you've got the flexibility to do it. Our smart liftgate gives us the flexibility of using the key fob. Actually, not even. We don't even need to use the key fob in order to get on the inside of the vehicle or the trunk. Let's hop outside. I'll show you how that process works. So after we have the smart liftgate feature turned on in the inside of the vehicle, there are a few things that have to happen before the smart liftgate is actually going to work. So you need to make sure that you lock the vehicle first. You lock it, and you actually have to get about 15 feet away for about 10 to 15 seconds. So I'm going to go for a little bit of a walk. All right, and after you wait that 10 to 15 seconds or so, so if you've gone to grab groceries, gone shopping, whatever the case may be, as long as you've got the key fob on you, look at this, look at this. An incredible feature. Like, you don't need to kick swipe, you don't need to do anything. As long as you've got the key fob on you, you lock the vehicle first, wait about 10-15 seconds or so, and then walk away from the vehicle. When you come back, proximity sensors, you walk to the back of the vehicle within a few feet, and you heard the beeping there. So it's going to start beeping on you. This thing's going to open up automatically, which is incredible. So that is really cool that we've got that as an available option. And we also have our window control remote. So we do have the option of opening the windows up using the key fob. And moving down, we've got some options for convenience. Rear occupant alert means we're going to get a little message right on this little screen there, letting us know to check the back seats. We can turn the wireless charge system off, and then the rear wiper when we're in reverse. So if we've got our front windshield wipers going and we go to back up, it's automatically going to turn on the rear wiper for us as well. That wasn't it, was it? Oh yeah, I was like, there's no way that was it. So tons of options that are available inside of there, but it is kind of nice that there are so many options and flexibilities here. Tons of options for our maps. We can change out the display. We can change out the font size and color. If you want to change out the symbol there, it's kind of Star Trek-y, which is kind of neat. We can adjust the way that that symbol looks on the map. We can have it auto scale. What kind of information do we want on the navigation screen? So we can show traffic colors, vehicle speed, and a few other, oh, that's kind of neat. I'm going to put that one on there. That's kind of nice. Our fuel price information is also going to show us available for best possible price. We can recenter as we go. We'd have different options for guidance. So our different intervals, our voice guidance. Do we want to mute the navigation as we approach the destination? Border crossing, and then we can also show the route when we're stopped. So it's essentially going to blow the screen up. Sorry, actually it's going to zoom out to give us the full screen instead. And then a few other options for GPS and user data, etc. Tons of options for sound settings now. So we've got our premium sound, so we can have a startup volume limiter. So let's say if you accidentally have the volume cranked up, when you go to turn the vehicle back on again, it's going to automatically lower it for us if we've got this thing selected. Speed dependent volume. So as we go speed up, slow down, etc., it's going to automatically adjust the volume for us on the fly. We can change the positioning there as well. So if you're the only one driving versus a more immersive experience. We've also got our tone settings there. So, ooh, that's not what you want. Yeah, this is it. So you want our treble about -2 mid-range, and then the bass cranked a little bit is going to give us a really good sound inside of this thing. Different options for our guidance, so we can mute out different things as necessary. And then we saw part of this earlier, so we can adjust all of our different volumes there. So we can turn that whole touchscreen beep off if that drives you nuts, and we can adjust so many different volumes, like even more as we go through different options. And then active sound design for the engine sound as we go. Device connections, which we saw earlier. User profiles, which again we saw earlier. We can adjust and create different user profiles. Voice recognition. So we've got a few different options. So as we press the voice command prompt in the steering wheel, so we've got some different options that are available there for our recognition. We've got options now for our screen layout. So if we want to, so as of right now, nothing's going to show when the display's off. So we hit display off, nothing's there, but we can also go analog clock, display off to give it that look, or we can customize it to give it a different watch face. So we go there, back, and off. So it's kind of neat. We've got that as an available option. And then what's showing up in split screen? Do we want our radio showing up, weather, calendar, compass, alerts, things like that? Different buttons. So we've got 3 unique buttons that are available there. So we've got our custom button, and that's going to be the button that's going to be down here. We've got 2 different ones on the steering wheel. So as we push the button down here, what's going to happen? Is it going to switch us out to Bluetooth audio, phone projection, HD radio, things like that, or phone, Bluetooth audio, etc. We can customize this button on the steering wheel. So do we want it to show our voice memo, reject end calls, etc., go to our quiet mode? Another button there, which is going to let us change between. This one, I honestly just recommend pushing every available option. And the reason why is because it's automatically going to let us switch out to different modes as we push that other button on the steering wheel. And then we've also got our voice knob there as well. So we can have these things swap. Like I'll show you, it's actually essentially going to be the knob here. So we can have this thing swap out as necessary there, but it is kind of cool. Oh, this is so cool. I'll show you that one in just a sec, but so neat that we've got that as an option. Our Kia Connect, we do have to enroll in order to be able to get those Connect features, which we've got an app that we can download on our cell phone as well. And into some general settings. So tons of options available there. We can see what's going on with our info there for a vehicle. We can see the amount of active storage we've got, gain access to that user's manual. Our GPS, our date and time. So I showed you earlier, we could just actually push the date up at the time at the very top, and that's going to launch us into here. But we can have it automatically adjust based off of our GPS location. We can deselect if we want to manually adjust there instead. We can switch out to that 12 or 24-hour mode and have it automatically update for daylight savings time there, so we can adjust as necessary there. Changing out to our language, we've got English, French, Spanish, or Korean. And then some different options for our keyboard as well, different measurement units, media options, or we could reset to bring the vehicle back to our factory defaults instead. So I know quite a lot of information there, but that's everything you need to know about the media screen inside of the 2023 Kia Sportage.